Welcome to Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation possible. You will get to hear from CSIA system integrators and industry partners to get a better understanding of how they help their clients solve process challenges and how they've earned success in their careers. Along the way, we will touch on system integration best practices, technology, trends, and challenges. Whether you are a manufacturer, end user, supplier, or system integrator, you will enjoy the insights these industry professionals bring to this podcast. Let's get started. Hi, my name is Lisa Richter, the host of Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation and processing possible. In today's episode, we're talking industrial automation with Jim Gillespie, who is the co-founder and chief growth officer of GrayMatter, a leading OT-focused company that provides consulting, services, and curated technology to transform operations and empower people. Since its inception, GrayMatter has grown to over 290 team members and over $80 million in revenue. Along the way, it has also completed 5 acquisitions and achieved national and international recognition. Jim, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Tell me a little bit more about yourself. What gets you out of bed in the morning?
I grew up in rural area of Pittsburgh, and then I went to Carnegie Mellon and studied engineering, started my career in manufacturing. And one of the things I realized was many manufacturers spend way too much money on automation projects than they need to. So I was sort of drawn to entrepreneurship, and that's why I really started GrayMatter. Our mission at GrayMatter was to help companies in their manufacturing or critical infrastructure industries improve their performance efficiency and really do that for less money. So that whole OT space, based on kind of my background, was really how I got here and what gets me jazzed up for sure.
What year did you start your company?
We started in 1991. It was before Pittsburgh's really kind of known for some of the technology and things that are happening today. But myself and my co-founder and all the other early employees came from similar kinds of backgrounds in either manufacturing or water or energy. So in 1991, you probably won't remember, some of our listeners might, it was really the dawn of when the IBM PC was being used on the factory floor for the first time. So companies like Intellusion, Wonderware, US Data were just at the dawn of the era, really. So our theory at GrayMatter was really seeing these IT trends that would move into the OT market. Later on, it became things like SQL Server, cybersecurity, industrial analytics. IT led the way, but then they come into the OT side later. Over the years, for years, I guess it's been, we've had the luck and opportunity to work with really great manufacturing clients like Pepsi, Nestle, Smucker, and really great critical infrastructure clients like Prince William and Collier counties, just to name a couple. One of the things I tell the team and a lot of my clients and I joke about it, that saving money never goes out of style. So the ROI projects that we do together are always make the capital stack somewhere.
Are there certain verticals that you're particularly strong in or that you go after or specialize in?
We do a wide variety of manufacturing clients, all the way from discrete, some people in the aerospace and automotive parts, to rolled products. I think we're quite strong in food and beverage, life sciences, but we go all the way to process manufacturing as well, with people like some of the chemical manufacturers as well. And then the water, wastewater, and other critical infrastructure like midstream oil and gas are all sort of things that are right up the center of the fairway for us.
Are you mostly U.S.? Is there a particular region that you are strong in?
We see a lot of growth opportunity in the U.S. still. We've got 7 offices here. We service a lot of companies whose nexus of operation is in either the U.S. or Canada. We do have team members in Ontario and Quebec, and we follow those clients internationally as they automate their facilities. We also have a growing office in Pune, India. We've got almost 30 people there now.
So you're talking a little bit about how GrayMatter has grown and changed over the past, since its inception, but what about more recently, like in the past year, and what do you anticipate for the next 12 to 24 months?
The past 12 to 18 months has really been nonstop for growth and change. So we completed 2 strategic mergers in that time and added offices in both Columbus and St. Louis. Really great companies that we merged with in both of those markets. And then in May, we partnered up with a private equity firm out of New York City called Tailwind Capital, who's really helping us put our growth plan together for the next period of time to expand our teams and do more of these strategic mergers. So really, with that change, I exited the CEO role and moved over into this growth role just to expand what we're doing with key clients, work on more mergers, and also work on more partnerships. So it's been kind of fun seeing that change as well.
When you first started out in 1991, it was you and a couple of partners. Did you have a vision that the company would grow to the size that it did? Were you kind of like, well, I'm going to have a decent job, I'm going to support my family, kind of mosey along, do my thing? I mean, how did this happen to you?
Yeah, I think we had the vision just to really drive the family success. That's honestly true. And I think we ran it that way for many years, and we got to about the 40 to 50 person range through, dead reckoning, I guess. And then a couple things right around maybe the 2014 timeframe, I joined Vistage and also read the Jim Collins Good to Great book. And we really made a strategic change right around then, was to grow on purpose. So we built out our leadership team, brought in some really powerful people for the C-suite, and really set out to do it differently from there. So that's how we went from 50 to 300, kind of on purpose, I guess.
I actually interviewed Jim Collins. I was doing some book reviews for the American Library Association back in the day, and he was super polite and personable and really, really great interview. Very, I don't know why that, it wasn't like it would surprise me, but I guess when you interview quote unquote famous people, you expect them to be a little bit diva, maybe, but he was not. He was like your favorite professor or whatever. It was really, really great interview.
Yeah, he'd be somebody I would have a coffee or a glass of wine with for sure.
What's unique about how you approach a project, would you say?
I think a couple of things. We have a philosophy of always meeting clients where they are. And we mean a couple things by that. We don't change things that don't need to be changed. If you can connect to something instead of replace it, all the better. So some people need help thinking through a problem and laying out a roadmap. We've got the consulting ability to be able to do that. Some people kind of need you to roll up your sleeves and just help them with what they're already planning on doing. So getting people to engage with a new process or technology is cultural. So we're pretty good at managing the whole process. And, we've got 7 different aspects of our offerings to really be able to meet them where they are.
Tell me about a project that was super challenging and how you came up with a solution to solve the customer's problem.
One good story, I think, it's a food manufacturing company called T. Marzetti. They had sort of a general sense that they were losing a lot of money in some of their key operations. So we met with the CEO. He was building his leadership team at the time, bringing in a new VP of operations and a head of continuous improvement. And they weren't sure where the leaks were happening. They said, can you help us really lay out a roadmap, put a plan of continuous improvement together, get the information out of our processes, digitize it, and get that in the hands of people that can make a difference before we lose the money. And so we did that. We honed in on a couple of their key facilities, and we found basically they were overfilling some of the bottles, which over time turns out to be a lot of money in a year. We went on to take that same approach to many other plants and do other continuous improvement projects that were successful as well, but kind of a good journey.
Pasta sauce, like a marinara sauce?
Chick-fil-A dipping sauce, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying you never want to waste sauce. That's just not good form no matter what. So if there's a prospective customer researching you versus a competitor, what advice would you give him, her?
We think, really making sure the OT expertise is real. Figure out if a vendor's trying to push a specific product. Many of the product vendors themselves have service operations now, so they typically see only their own bag of things as solutions. So, we really try to work the other way. We say we're agnostic, but we have opinions about what could be useful. We know what other people have done in similar situations that could be helpful. We're also always out there looking for new solutions, kind of like the trends that I mentioned at the kickoff. So sometimes those trends can be helpful to a new client to segment your network in a different way than maybe, say, a Cisco or Palo Alto would recommend in the cybersecurity space. So I think that OT expertise, there are a lot of IT vendors that kind of try to dress up in OT clothes. So you don't want the guy in the Armani suit trying to figure out what to do on your plant floor all the time. So that real world practical expertise at the controls level that really can inform, the higher level data information projects is kind of a cool combination. And I think it sets us apart from a lot of people.
How's the whole AI thing happening for you guys? Are you getting a lot of conversations around that? I mean, I'm in the marketing space, so I have a lot of marketers like literally freaking out, like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? I don't know anything about that. I got to imagine that you're encountering that too. And when you do, how do you talk them off the ledge?
I would say a lot of our clients are investigating how it can be helpful. And we've seen maybe more help for machine learning instead of generative AI. We've got some pretty good use cases where we've helped people significantly reduce waste by using machine learning and cut energy costs and things like this that really have kind of that practical ROI tied into it. I think we're starting to see in the generative AI space, we're starting to see things like offering up different advice to the operators based on the conditions and some of those things. But it's a nascent thing in our real operational stuff so far for us, I think.
I mean, you just have to look at all the hallucinations and it just makes you want to question anything AI generated from the LLM. So totally understand that.
Well, there's important things around production and safety that you can't get wrong. It's just too important.
For sure. You don't want 6 fingers on your robot. What challenges are your customers facing right now?
It's one of the things I think is really funny. The challenges that we solve have been really similar the whole time we've been doing this. And even in my time before GrayMatter in manufacturing, the way you can solve it and the technology to do these things are getting better and better. But the challenges of unexpected or unplanned downtime, lack of getting data to the right person in time to make the change, or data visibility, finding those production quality, waste anomalies. And then maybe the one that's in the past 10 years, as opposed to being 30 years ago, is the cybersecurity attack vector. So everyone's waking up to, there's a lot of stuff in OT that can be attacked, and it's bad when it gets attacked. I think the democratization of connectivity and the cloud are two things that have really been empowering things. Because you can do things cheaper, the threshold for funding a project with the right ROI is better. So we're seeing people in the mid-market do solutions now like MES that traditionally would have been kind of the domain of your larger people like a Kimberly Clark, and now you can afford it and generate a real return for the mid-market.
Quick question. Are you a CSA member? If so, I need you to do something for me. I need you to go to www.controlsys.org/renew and follow the instructions there to renew your membership. It's literally as easy as reviewing your organization info, selecting your add-ons like benchmarking reports or marketing tools, and then hitting return. And it will ensure that you and your entire team won't miss any member benefits, such as being eligible to attend the CSA conference or accessing content behind the member wall, like the recent economic and labor update for system integrators. So please, take 2 ticks and get this sorted. If you don't want to do it for you, do it for me. Because my boss said, if I don't get you on board, I will have to start cold calling. Ugh, please don't make me do that. And if you are not a CSI member, what are you waiting for? Let's get this party started. Do you think technology has expanded exponentially over the years? Like maybe before certain things would take a slower pace, but now the new technologies are coming like boom, 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 boom. Or has it always felt like we're drinking through the fire hose?
OT always has a little bit of the brakes on it because of the production and the safety issues that I mentioned. So there's a natural sort of governor on speed of adoption, but COVID really accelerated the acceptability of doing things remotely, the acceptability of cloud computing, And I think this moving the IT into the OT space, we're starting to see things like hypervisors and containers and the IT department being able to manage the OT systems in a way that we've never seen before. So I think it may accelerate faster the more the IT tools can be standardized across the stack. It'll be fun to see.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I get a little freaked out about it when I think about, I don't know, when I first started, like fax machines were just new. And now it's like every time you pick up your cell phone, there's another new feature or something that you got to learn. And I don't know, just logging in nowadays, it's like,
we plugged in our dial-up phone to get our email back at the beginning of GrayMatter. Yeah.
What kinds of trends and challenges are you seeing in industrial automation right now?
A couple of things I mentioned before, but we bet big on OT cybersecurity and industrial analytics years ago. And clients are really starting to wake up and want to do those things now in a big way. I think everyone's trying to build resources around those two functions so we can help with the plan, the augmentation, the selection of some of those technology. And then one of the things I think is really interesting, kind of what you said about AI or ML, they're getting pressure from the C-suite to do sort of a big project like that. And what it's driving is a whole bunch of, what I call the blocking and tackling work of, well, we need to just upgrade the old stuff that we have before we can connect to it. We need to start to historize digital data before we can run out ML algorithms against it. So we need this whole digital maturity, and the whole digital transformation really stacks up. And it's kind of driven by that vision. So you can't just start with the end in mind. You have to do some of the other work before you can get there.
But don't you think that's a positive change that the C-suite is starting to be like, get me some of that AI, get me some of that blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, it obviously introduces some challenges, but at least you're getting to that C-suite and they're understanding there is opportunity there, and they're maybe willing to open their pocketbook a little bit.
Totally. Yeah, no, I think it's another manifestation of driving some of those returns on their investments. But yeah, we appreciate that. And I think also there's both a board and a C-suite level of understanding around the risk around OT systems and cyber. So both of those things getting the high level support is helpful.
That's one, I guess, silver lining to all the headlines that you see about, people getting hacked and the near misses we have with water supplies and things like that. What would you say is like the biggest challenge in the automation marketplace right now?
The biggest challenge is really the human capital or the employees, and that's both for companies like ours as well as the manufacturing and infrastructure companies themselves. So giving those people a good place to work, giving them the tools to be able to do their job. Everyone's comfortable with the iPhone in their personal life, so making sure they have that same kind of access to data if they're expected to be responsible for keeping the machine running.
Yeah.
Things like that. We're under-resourced across the whole industry, though, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It's very interesting to me seeing how the consumer market is driving the business market. One example I have to give is at our conference, at the CSA conference, we have a mobile app and you can build your agenda there, right? You can say, I'm going to attend this session or that session, what have you. This isn't a commercial for the conference. Although, if you want to come, please join us. But we'd have people show up at like the marketing workshop and we're like, well, you didn't register for this and it's an extra cost or whatever. And they're like, but I added it to my agenda. And you're like, yeah, that makes sense, right? Like if you're wanting to order food, you open Uber Eats and you select it and it shows up at your door, right? So It's very interesting to see how those two worlds are colliding. Let me just say that. Why do you think customers are willing to return to you project after project, assuming that you are? I mean, if you're succeeding as you are, I imagine that some of that's repeat business. Why do you think people come back?
Yeah, we've got a lot of repeat business people that have been with us all the way since the beginning. And I think two things are our core values of accountability and innovation. So we always treat people the way we want to be treated ourselves and do what we say. And then the innovation part is looking for these new solutions and helping them come up with ROI that they might not have realized without us looking out on their behalfs and seeing there's a new way that we could solve something for them. I think we're a little unique in that we do the consulting, the implementation, the post support, and looking for this new technology trends, which we call tech curation, we don't have many clients that only do one project as a point solution. It's usually multi-year or sort of an ongoing process. Back to the saving money never goes out of style. So there's always something to do, always more cost to take out of the production.
And how do you make sure that your employees are kept up to date on the newest technology? Is there like one department that's their job to look at new stuff and let everybody know about potential there? Or is it kind of up to each individual division or however you've got yourself organized? How do you handle making sure that you're aware of the new technology, but also not necessarily overwhelming everybody with a bunch of information every day so they're feeling overloaded?
Yeah, I think that's a balance that we strive for sure. I would say we've organized ourselves with general managers. So the general manager of each of our 4 functions, sort of thinks about those things and what partnerships we should lean into more. There's a few other people on the leadership team that also kind of keep their eyes and ears open for it. And it's one of the things that I'm looking at in my new role as well. So it takes a village, I guess, is what you would say.
Yeah. So what would you say is the smartest decision your company has made recently?
But totally renewing our CSIA membership.
Thank you.
Yeah. But in addition, I think, sort of as we grew on purpose, we really went out and found some really great other people in the market to form strategic mergers with. And, we just found an awesome set of people that we've integrated into our team and integrated into our culture. So we got this just great talent infusion and new customers that we can serve better. We're getting the 1 + 1 = 3 effect for both the teams and the clients, and really it's been cool to see. It's kind of that same thing we see what the innovations that are happening in the marketplace. So we're able to sort of learn new best practices from each other, and all of us get better. So pretty cool.
I've been working a little bit with your marketing team on getting all the branding sorted out. And it's always interesting to me to hear the strategy behind that. When people go to do these mergers and acquisitions, sometimes they want everybody to retain their branding and everybody's got their separate branding and separate everything. And then other times we're all going to come under one brand. Tell me a little bit about how you came to the decision to have everybody kind of merge under the GrayMatter umbrella and rebrand that way.
Our initial thing is to do no harm, kind of as the Socratic oath. But yeah, we want to just have the one GrayMatter brand out to the marketplace over time. So we have a very prescriptive plan that we've laid out to, not only move the signage and the email addresses and all those things to the single brand, but without interrupting anything important, moving the contracts and all those things over as well as they renew and as the customers cooperate with us. So the end in mind is to have that unified vision, market experience to the client. So we think that's going to be valuable to them and the team.
If you could just choose the project of your dreams, what would it be and why?
Yeah, we're doing a couple of pretty cool ones now. We've got one that's well over $25 million. That's really a greenfield project. So it's cool to be able to help a client do that from scratch and see the whole thing come together. But I think if I really wanted to pick something that we don't already have, it's the full stack digital transformation where we can lay out the vision, the end in mind of the analytics, and do the whole assessments and upgrades and really bring all 4 of our offerings to play at the same time and generate a lot of value and a lot of return for the client.
Yesterday, I went to ABB, opened a new headquarters in Wisconsin, which isn't too far from where I am. So I drove up there to see it. And you could just see the excitement in everybody's voice when they were talking about it, because they had that opportunity to start with like a clean slate. Even the HVAC guy was like, he has geothermal where he drilled 40 wells and blah, blah, blah. And, I could see where that would be super appealing to just start from scratch and do it all, quote unquote, right from the beginning. If you could choose another career, what would it be and why?
Yeah, I'm not sure I would. I really enjoy our team and our clients, and I love what I do. But I guess if you're prompting me and pressing me, I've always been fascinated with business creation and entrepreneurship. And, we get to see ours from sort of an idea up to the 80 million. So I think the energy associated with people that are creating businesses and value is really cool. I've also been fascinated by lessons you learn from history. So I'd probably work at an incubator like a Y Combinator or Antler, or if they would have me be a professor at Carnegie Mellon for entrepreneurship or history,
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I find history really comforting in a way because you know what the ending was, right? You know how it turned out. So even if it sounded super scary or super dicey or whatever, you know how it turned out. I find that very comforting. So final question. What advice would you give your younger self just getting started?
I think the biggest one that we've always had is kind of in the HR function, and it's a really hard lesson to learn, and it's to hire slower and fire faster. So probably our most frequent mistake was we really were in a hurry. So we hired somebody without completely vetting them, or we know somebody isn't a fit for whatever the reason is. And we continue to say, well, have we given them enough chances, or, what should we do? So usually by the time we took action, everybody else on the team would know that action should have been taken sooner. And in that same vein, the other mistake, and it's part of the hiring slower process, but make sure you're hiring the person that's in front of you, not somebody you remember working with 5 to 10 years ago, because sometimes those people are radically different.
Interesting. That's not one I've heard before. Thank you for sharing that. Well, that's it for today's episode of Talking Industrial Automation. If you are interested in learning more about Jim or GrayMatter, you can find them on the Industrial Automation Exchange at www.csiexchange.com. Thanks for listening, and thank you, Jim, for joining me today.
Thank you.
If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also really help the show by leaving a review and sharing with colleagues. We're all just slaves to the algorithm now, so I gotta ask. Thanks for listening to the Talking Industrial Automation podcast. Thanks also to bensound.com and Wistia for the music bumpers. Until next time.